Hey everybody, how's it going? Today we're going to be going over and showing you how to install the Roadmaster FuseMaster Quick Disconnect here on our 2014 Chevrolet Equinox. So the fuse bypass or quick disconnect, whatever you want to refer to it as, it's the same thing. It's not necessarily required for your flat toe setup, but it is one of those convenience items that is going to make things that much more easier. So for this particular vehicle here, it is required that we disconnect a fuse while towing. It does vary a little bit depending on which model you have, whether you have the 4-cylinder model or the 6-cylinder model. This particular kit here is going to be designed for the 4-cylinder model. So we do have to remove a fuse when we want to tow our vehicle. In order to do that, each time you're going to have to open up the hood on your vehicle, remove the fuse box lid, locate the correct fuse, remove the fuse, take it with you, store it in a safe place, and then just repeat those same steps in reverse. We have to do that every time we want to tow our vehicle. And let's face it, that sounds like a lot of work. So to get around that, we can install this fuse bypass. We don't have to open up the hood. We don't have to remove a fuse. It's going to be all done from inside the vehicle with a flick of a switch. So here's our switch. We have it installed inside the vehicle here, just a little rocker switch. We have the down position labeled as tow. So that's when we're ready to get in our motorhome and take off. And then when we've arrived at the campsite, we're ready to head in town, we just simply go to drive. It's that easy. It's definitely going to cut down on the time it needs to set up your vehicle, and it's going to take some of the extra security measures, whether or not you remove the fuse or not. If you forget, you lost the fuse, you could be stranded. So it's definitely a really nice idea to go ahead and purchase one of these for your flat tow setup, just making things that easier and giving you more peace of mind. So we showed you the switch, but here's what the controller looks like. This is sort of the brains of the operation. This is where the fuse circuit goes through in one side and then out the other, and our switch controls all this. So basically, just a quick little rundown. We will get into the installation a little bit more here in a second, but we have one cable going from this bronze terminal into the fuse box, and then we have another cable as well going to the other side of the fuse. So one goes to the hot side, one goes to the cold side. We have a connection that goes to the battery, being the ground, and then we have the wire lead that goes inside the vehicle to the switch. But that's pretty much it. It's pretty basic. There's not a lot to this kit at all. So in regards to installation, this one isn't too difficult. It is something I think you guys can do at home by yourselves with minimal tools and limited mechanical knowledge. We'll go ahead and walk you through this entire process now, step by step, to give you the confidence to do it yourself. So the first step of our installation, we need to find a place to mount the controller for our unit here that needs to be within reach of our fuse block. So you have this nice little panel here that covers the shock tower. This is going to be a great location. In order to attach it to this panel, what I did is I went ahead and cleaned it up there so the double-sided tape on the bottom of the controller would stick to it. And I also used a self-tapping screw in each side to further secure it. So the next thing we need to do is identify the fuse that we're going to be installing the bypass on. So for this particular vehicle here, this has a 4-cylinder engine. Therefore, the fuse that we're going to be splicing into and bypassing is the number 16 fuse, which is going to be in the top right corner here, closest to the driver's side. So you'll go ahead and remove that fuse there. Now you'll have to have the fuse box lid off to be able to do this. We have our operating unit attached to that right now. But there's going to be 2 prongs once you remove that 30 amp fuse. The one closest to the outside of the vehicle, closest to the driver's side, you're going to hook up the red wire to, and the one closest to the passenger side, you're going to hook up the black wire to. Now, in order to go from the controller here to the fuse, you're going to have to drill a couple holes in the side of the fuse box lid here. Make sure you go ahead and cover those up with some sealant once you have them connected. That's probably the hardest part of this installation, is drilling into the side of the fuse box lid, keeping your terminals on the spades there inside, and then routing them out to the controller here. So now we can start hooking up our wires. So it doesn't matter which one goes where. We can have the red wire over here, the black wire over here, or vice versa. But for the black wire, we're going to use the included machine screw and lock nut to attach it to one of these 2 terminals. And then the red wire here, we're going to attach it to the other one, but you want to make sure you also attach, you're going to have to crimp on a ring terminal to the red wire coming from the harness that has a fuse holder in line. So again, it doesn't matter which one, black to one, red to the other, but you want to make sure that you have that extra ring terminal on the red. And then what we're going to do is you're going to take this little 3 or 4 pin connector here, looks like this. So there's going to be a lead coming off the controller, and you're going to attach that to the wiring harness that houses the fuse holder here with that red wire. And that's going to leave you with a few other wires. You're going to have a white wire coming out of that same sheathing here. You're going to have the white wire. That's going to go to the negative battery terminal. And then all that's left is going to be this duplex wire here. I believe there are 3 wires inside here, this gray sheathing. We're going to be routing that down and inside the vehicle. Now, you can use pretty much any path you want for this. However, we use the path, there's a grommet in the bottom of the driver floor. So I shoved our wire back between the firewall and the engine here, and I got it to come down underneath, and then we'll show you how we got it into the vehicle from there. So our gray duplex wires are going to come out somewhere in this area here. We have the steering shaft and the sway bar, so you want to make sure you use a couple zip ties to secure it to some lines that are already up there. And then we're going to come down here, and just directly behind this bracket, you're going to have a nice large hole in the bottom of the frame. And if we look up from there, there's actually going to be a grommet on the bottom of the driver floor plan. We can pierce that, drill it out through the inside, and then you're just going to shove your wire up through there to pull it into the cab of the vehicle. Now let's go in the cab and we can show you where it goes from there. So our wire is going to come up around here. You're actually going to have to peel back the carpet in order to get to that. But then basically what we're going to do is we're just going to pull out all that extra slack. We should have plenty. And then we're going to be prying down this panel here. There's a couple clips at the top here, and then one in the bottom corner here. So you're going to use a trim panel tool, sneak it between the 2 panels, and pry this panel back. We don't have to remove it. We're just going to be giving ourselves a little bit more room to work, because we're going to be looking for an open area around here. And once we find that, we're actually going to take a step drill bit. We're going to drill a nice and large hole here. I believe they call for a 13/16 inch hole. And then we can insert our switch through that, and then it's secured on the back side with a nut. Now there's going to be 3 terminals on the back of our switch here. We need to attach the 3 wires within that duplex wire that we routed up here to this switch using the Spade terminals that come with your kit. Now in regards to the order, the middle one has to be red, but aside from that, it doesn't matter if the top is black or white or the bottom is black or white. We just need to make sure that that red wire is in the middle. But now that we have that done, we can go ahead and test it out and put our stickers on here for drive and tow. Make sure you test it so you know which way is which first. So in order to test it, we need a test light, and we're simply going to be probing the black wire there. So right now it's on. If we hit the tow position, it should kill power. And you can see there it turns our test light out. Now we're going to go back to the on position as we would when we're driving, and it restores power. So that's how we know it's working correctly. That's going to do it today for our look and installation of the Roadmaster FuseMaster Quick Disconnect here on our 2014 Chevrolet Equinox.